Hey, what is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo, senior editor here at thekoalition.com, and welcome to a brand new episode of TK Spotlight, where I bring on phenomenal individuals from throughout the gaming industry and the various corners of the internet to talk about the good that they do in their craft, as well as also gaming and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So today, I got a fun episode. I got my good friend Parris Lilly, co-host of Gamertag Radio. Parris, what's happening, my man? How you been?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. This should be fun.
Yeah, we never got to do any sort of like discussion like this before, at least, in depth of stuff. So this is going to be cool for me. So to start things off, obviously, you're part of Gamertag Radio. You've been a co-host for quite some time. You guys just recently had an anniversary and you guys are coming out with a documentary very, very soon. So that's got to be pretty exciting. I mean, how has it been for you on your end?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I mean, Gamertag Radio at the end of the month is going to celebrate its 13th year of existence, and to celebrate that, we have a documentary coming out just talking about the 13 years of Gamertag Radio, spotlighting Danny Pena, aka Godfrey, who created Gamertag Radio back in 2005, just his journey. I mean, it actually starts in the 90s and brings us all the way up to current day, and it's taking a lot of footage, just video clips that we shot over the years. 2 E3s ago, we actually had a camera person follow us around and shoot a bunch of footage of us. I don't know if you remember, Danny was featured in another documentary called The Messengers.
I remember, yeah.
And a lot of this footage that you'll see in this Gamertag, it's called Gamertag Radio, a podcast story. A lot of the footage in it is from those 2 E3s ago, where they just followed us around, talk to us in the studio, things like that. And then, like I said, just other various clips and photos throughout the 13 years of the three of us. It's mostly about Danny, as it should be. But I'm in it, Pete's in it, and then just various people throughout the gaming industry come on and just kind of give their story of how Gamertag Radio either influenced them or just touched them in some way. So it's really good. I've had a chance to see it, and I think people, when they get a chance to see it, they're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. Again, not too long ago, I want to say about a day or so ago, I got a chance to see it early with a select group of people, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was fun because, seeing some of our friends, some of our colleagues in the industry show up in something like this. Even myself, I make like a little cameo in one of the pictures there. I believe it was about 1 or 2 E3s ago, or if not longer, where we all went to the same E3 party, and I know we were taking pictures there and stuff, and I was like, oh, I remember that picture. But being in the documentary, again, being part of Gamertag Radio and being part of all this stuff that's going to be talked about in the documentary, from your perspective, what are you hoping that people get out of this when they go to view it? Again, whether they know about Gamertag Radio or whether they don't, or they know about podcasting or they don't, what do you feel like they're going to get out of this just from watching it?
The thing I hope people get out of this is they understand the importance of friendship. First and foremost, because I think that's what you'll see throughout and you've seen it obviously, but what you'll see throughout this documentary is the friendship the three of us have had over the years. You'll see that Danny, just like he says in it, he never gave up. He never gave up when he started this early on. Podcast was barely even a thing back then, and he never gave up with it. He stuck with it. And just all the people that he influenced over the years, that you look at where they're now in the gaming industry, it's quite amazing, actually. And he's obviously had a direct influence on myself. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it wasn't for Danny. And it's really good. I mean, it's touching in some spots. I mean, some people may shed a tear.
And then laugh. I know I laughed a few times.
Yeah, there's definitely some funny moments as well, but I think the main thing people will take away from this is inspiration, that if you put your mind to anything, you can succeed, is the thing that I took from it. So, like I said, I think people are really going to enjoy it when they get a chance to watch it.
Definitely, I agree. Now, besides GTR, you've been doing podcasting as well for a while. You've had your own shows. You've done your own stuff. You've guested and appeared on various other podcast shows about gaming, about tech, about a variety of different topics here and there. I mean, has things changed for you, over the years as you've been podcasting, as you've been getting involved with shows or meeting new people as you go along? I mean, what's different about it now as opposed to back then?
Oh, it absolutely has changed because just kind of go back to the documentary real quick. I talk about how Danny inspired me to become a podcaster back in 2006. And it was seeing him and Chris Palladino doing their podcasts, and then eventually they were at an event at Microsoft up at the Xbox campus that I was like, you know what, I want to do this. I reached out to both of those guys, and they helped me immensely back then. So, I mean, God, that was 12 years ago at this point. It's just crazy how time flies. And the biggest thing about it is being 12 years ago is just where I am in my own life, as far as 2 of my kids have been born since then. I have 3 children. 2 of my kids have been born since then. Just my own personal career, I'm in information security, how much that has grown and changed. And I just have a lot more responsibility in my life. But the one constant has been doing podcasts, being involved in some way, shape, or form in the gaming industry. And just like you even mentioned, just all the amazing people that I've met over the years. I mean, you know, yourself included. It's just, you never know who you're going to meet, how they're going to affect your life later on.
Totally true.
If that makes sense. You know, there's just so many people. And again, I keep going back to this documentary. All the people that you see in that documentary talk about something, they've influenced my life in some way. You know, even if it's just a tiny bit. And like again, yourself included, it's just, there's so many, and you know this already because you obviously are in the industry and you've met a bunch of amazing people as well. It's just, there's so many talented people that you come across that will inspire you in some way. They're like, oh, wow, I never thought to do this. Maybe I should try and do that too. Maybe I could be good at that too. Or they give you a tip here, tip there. It's just, I mean, it's been great. And not only in gaming, but like I said, in life in general, they've, you know, just influenced my life. And I'm very blessed, thankful, and just quite honestly, lucky to be where I am today. And it all goes back to just being a part of this whole podcasting thing and in this industry. So again, it's been great. Very thankful.
I agree. It's for me, you know, I could kind of relate to that because I find it surreal sometimes because there have been instances, both people that I've watched throughout the years and that I've looked up to, that I've taken inspiration from, that I've seen on like places like G4 or seen them on like IGN or even just online on the internet doing their own shows, YouTube or podcasting or otherwise. And again, you cross paths in like the most weirdest and the most goofiest and sometimes the most fun ways. And you don't even realize it until after it's happened or way down the line. Because what's funny, especially with Danny, you know, again, going to the documentary again, a lot of us that have all met up in some way, a lot of us all came from the same general area and we never met until years later. Like most of us came from like that New York tri-state area. And then eventually at some point, like, you know, 5 or 6 years later, like when we're all doing our own thing in the industry, we're like, oh, you came from New York? Oh, you came from New York? And it's just weird to have that. But again, at the same time, like you mentioned, like you end up, you know, coming across good people that you end up either working with or you just collab with or you just talk with over time. And I think that's good because I think it's key to one's growth, you know, in their own craft, but also key to just enjoying what they do just overall. Because you get a lot of people all over the place, including in the games industry, that sometimes don't enjoy what they do, you know, for one reason or another. And I think that being around those types of people is always good. One thing that you did mention, again, you mentioned that you're a father, you're a parent now, has becoming a father or becoming, you know, having kids or having children, has that allowed you to kind of have like a wider or a different type of perspective on gaming or podcasting than what you did beforehand?
Oh, absolutely. Just taking my son as an example, which ironically enough, he's almost 12 years old. So he's kind of right with the start of it to where I am now as far as an age. You know, him and I play games together now. And it's a great thing. I mean, it's something that helps us bond and get closer. And my youngest daughter, you know, she plays as well. My oldest, not so much. And my oldest is 16 now. My youngest is 7, 2 girls. But my son and I mostly, as far as the gaming stuff, we play a lot together. And I get the fun and joy of being able to play games with him, to talk games with him and do all that. But I also have to be his dad at the same time. And there's certain games I just simply do not let him play. Call of Duty as an example. Do not let him play that game obviously for various reasons. As far as playing online, I'm very careful about who I let him play online with. And most of the times I make sure that I'm there when I'm online with him. It's a very select crowd of people that I will let play online with him, and I'm not there to basically oversee it and make sure, you know, he's not hearing something crazy. And obviously, as you know, how the online community can be, you know, so I have to be very conscious of that. But it's like I said, overall, it's a great thing. It's like I said, it opens up conversations between myself and my kids that I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily have them, but they just make them easier because it gives the the four of us something in common to talk about, and which will lead into other conversations and into other things. So it's great. And my son is quite the PvP savant. Just ask anyone in the Destiny community.
He's just wrecking people because I've seen it online a few times. He goes in there, he just demolishes.
Like literally, even before we started recording this, him and I were just talking about we're talking about Trials of Osiris. And we're talking about Destiny 1 Trials of Osiris, and I said, "Do you realize you are one of the few people your age in the world that can say they legitimately went to the lighthouse?"
Did he take a moment? Did he take a moment to take it in?
No, he just thinks he's awesome. So he's just like, "Yep, I know," But no, it's great. It's great, man. I really like it.
That's cool. So let me ask you this then. As someone, again, that works in the industry, or at least as part of the industry, goes to events, places like E3, PAX, etc. There's a lot of talk now with a lot of the shifts between, like what people call old media and new media. Like old media being like those traditional outlets, the websites, the magazines, etc. And then the new media being places like YouTube, even podcasting to an extent is considered new media, and stuff that's very similar underneath that same umbrella. Do you feel like, with all the changes that are going on, because again, that's been happening for years and stuff, has things been kind of getting better or worse with the relationship, or just through your eyes, interacting with different people that are involved with gaming or that you see at events and stuff? Have things been getting better or worse overall?
I think it's getting better. I do think there was a period of time, I don't know, we're in 2018 now, so I would say maybe about 5 or 6 years ago where it kind of hit its low point.
2013?
Yeah, up in there somewhere. I'd say right around the end of 360, PlayStation 3 coming into this new generation of games or systems and games. But it's definitely gotten a lot better. And I think it was just that transition period of where we went from traditional old print media to now the rise of streamers and obviously YouTube videos.
Content creators.
There you go. That's encapsulated it all. Content creators versus quote unquote old style media. And a joke that Danny and I have had, and I remember this vividly, we went to a Titanfall media event.
Titanfall 1.
Titanfall 1, yes. Titanfall 1. So that would have been, 2014, I believe, up in there somewhere. Yeah. But we went to this event out here in Los Angeles, and we come in. We were literally the only podcaster there. Everyone else was some type of YouTuber, or at the time, a quote unquote streamer, which was a kind of a novelty, in that era. And we looked at each other and we said, you know what? We're freaking dinosaurs, man. We're a dying media.
You're
when
OGs.
it comes to this. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that, but the point of it that we're making was we need to adapt and change on some level. We can't just sit here and keep doing the same thing that we're doing over and over because the industry is evolving. But going back to your original point, I think it did create some quote unquote tension between the old media and the quote unquote new media because of that transition that was going on right now. And I think where we sit now in 2018, I mean, it is like, let's just take IGN, for example. I'll just take Destin Legary. Destin obviously works at IGN, does a fantastic job with all the stuff at IGN, but he's also a content creator. He streams all the time. I see him doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So it's just using him as the template on that. He's kind of the great example of you can still be the quote unquote old media of IGN, but you can also dip your toe in where it's headed now with content creation. And the two can live together, and they actually complement each other, which is, I think, is a great thing. So we're in a good place now. It's like I said, it's definitely evolved and moved to a new place. Like even ourselves, we still do our traditional podcast 2 times a week, audio podcast, but we've also made the change in the last year that we stream the podcast live on Twitch. So if anyone, and it's a set schedule, so if anyone wants to come in Sunday morning or Wednesday evening, they can watch us do the podcast and they can interact. And we do what's called an after show when the podcast is over, where we'll basically just interact with the community, live on Twitch, which I think is great. I love doing it. The other guys love doing it as well. And then we also use Twitch to stream games that we're playing, interact with the community during our off time. So that's where we've kind of evolved. We've not stopped doing what we were doing.
It's just more variety now.
Exactly. We've added to what we're doing. And I also have a YouTube channel. I've neglected it here in the past couple of months, but I have a YouTube channel as well. And, I create content on it. I do games, commentary, fly my drone around, things like that. But it's cool that those avenues of creativity are there versus 12 years ago when I got into this. I never would have dreamed that I'd have the opportunity to do any of this stuff. So it's good that I have my creative freedom when I choose to have it. Like I said, I've neglected it a little bit here in the last few months just because real life has gotten in the way, and that's obviously going to be the priority every time. But now that my schedule's lightening up more, I'll be able to get back into that content creation more and basically express myself beyond just the podcast, doing videos, streaming games, things like that. And it's something I'm very passionate about. I really love doing it. And the older I get, the more I realize, kind of going back to the conversation we were having previously, it is an integral part of my life. And you try to, it's just some dumb hobby. What are you doing? But no, it's more than that. It really is. And it's that because of the people that you get to meet, because of the people that you get to interact with. And it's something that it would be like losing a part of myself if I ever stopped. Let's put it that way.
I totally feel you on that. And I think that's kind of the case for a lot of us, myself included, where it adds a whole new layer to everything. The more that you do, the more that you get involved with, and the more that you kind of go out there and you see, again, events or places that you go to, involving gaming and stuff. To kind of bounce off my original question, because you mentioned a little bit of tension between, again, old media and new media, and again, just to simplify things, just people that are traditional websites or just new media outlets like YouTube, etc. Why do you think that is, though? And for me personally, I think it's more because there's an influx of a lot of people getting involved with this type of thing, especially over the last couple of years, and maybe a little bit longer than that, because again, we have YouTube, we have Twitch, we had Justin TV at one point, and all these other places where the common person or someone that was outside of the realm of what was considered traditional outlets and stuff, able to be involved or give their input or give their opinion or give another perspective on stuff that's going out there. Much in the same vein that podcasting did with traditional radio or NPR or even, again, video did to just, written material. Again, there's a lot of parallels there. But for me, where I feel like there's a lot of kind of like, disparage or a lot of that great divide where you don't get a lot of that kind of, collaboration between the two sides, is because I always feel like one side's always pointing the fingers at the other. And it's probably over the most mundane things. Sometimes it's whether it's broken embargoes, which me and you know about because we went to an event and all of a sudden the embargo got broken when we weren't supposed to talk about some during the Destiny 2 event.
Can I pause you on that? I have to touch on that.
Yeah, sure.
It's funny. You may not even know this, but like you said, you and I both got to go to Destiny 2 event, up at Bungie back. God, it was awesome. September. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, bucket list thing for me to be able to go to that studio. But like you said, the embargo got broken. And then I got in a little bit of trouble over it well because a friend of mine, YouTuber, that I trusted, he knew I went to the event, and I shared some of my capture footage with him. And the agreement that we had was, I was like, look, here's an embargo. You cannot present this as your own. You have to say you got this from me. Like, basically, you can release this as if you literally just watched my content.
Yeah,
right?
He just had to credit you.
Right. So he did that. Somehow, some way, PR thought I was the leaker when all the European Dead Zone stuff came out.
That's not a fun position to be in.
Yeah, and it was like, wait, what? Oh, no. And it all got straightened out, and it's fine. But there was literally probably a good 3 to 4 hour period of panic for me because I'm like, I didn't leak this. He didn't leak it. Why are people thinking I'm the source of the leak? Because I mean, I don't know about you. Once word got out, a lot of the Destiny content creators, they hit me up, sliding up in the DMs. Hey, man, hey, can I get your footage? Can I get your footage? And I basically told them no. And I only shared it with the one person because we were friends and I knew I could trust them. And somehow, some way, and I don't know who did it, whatever, someone basically said I was the one that was leaking footage.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, which I think kind of relates to my point or my question I was going to ask, is because there's a lot of different things that happen throughout the industry. It's not just leaking or breaking embargoes and stuff. There's various different things that touch on a variety of different topics where it creates that tension that you mentioned. And the reason why I feel like that is because with more people that come in or more people that get involved with something, there's more obviously potential for things to kind of go awry and also for other people to kind of ruin it for everybody else, whether it's breaking an embargo, whether it's just acting like a jerk, or whether it's making PR tense, over one reason or another. There's a variety of different things. Do you feel like maybe that's because a lot of people are just coming in and having a little bit of an arrogance to it, to like their craft, where they just get involved and they think that they know better, or not just kind of get closed off to like being willing and open to kind of like, work with others or just learn a little bit from the opposite side? When I had Ben Kuchera on the show a while back, that was one of the things that we talked about. He felt like that sometimes is a huge contributing factor, especially from people that aren't considered traditional media.
I do think there is some arrogance to it on a certain level. It's almost just human nature, and not to be disrespectful to anyone, but I tend to find that from our less experienced content creators,
yeah, right.
let's just put it that way, that maybe coming in younger and just haven't been around the industry long enough to kind of quote unquote know the etiquette.
Yeah.
And they find that they get success very quickly, and then they think they know it all. And then, like I said, that's where etiquette is ignored in a lot of cases. There's some disrespect going on, things like that. But as in life, I'm 44 years old at this point, so I've made my fair share of mistakes. These things only come with age and experience, really. There's just no way around it. You can, like I tell my kids all the time, I can tell them right from wrong until I'm blue in the face, but they're not going to actually learn any life lessons until they experience it. So it's just parallel, just goes with what you're talking about right now. Mistakes will be made. Let's put it that way. It's the ones that can overcome those mistakes and learn from them that will continue to succeed in this industry.
When that stuff happens, though, do you feel like it makes it more difficult for people that do follow like the rules or follow the etiquette or are going about things the right way, but all of a sudden because somebody else does whatever, all of a sudden now it makes your job a little bit harder? Like in this case that we were using an example for the Destiny 2 event, obviously Activision PR, the people that were running that event and stuff, they had probably were a little bit uneasy afterwards, especially because Destiny 2 is such a huge game. But obviously there's been other examples of that throughout time and stuff. Do you feel like it makes your job harder to cover certain games because of things like that happen sometimes?
Of course it is, because publishers are going to be more hesitant and selective on who they share content with early. That's the biggest penalty that we all suffer from, is the people, one person can ruin it for everyone. And, it is what it is. Honestly, you can't blame the publisher for that. If they tell you, here's an NDA, you sign it, and you're not supposed to share this information until said date, and you decide to share it early, they're going to be more hesitant next time to want to, A, invite you to their event, if at all, or B, the people they do invite to the event, they're going to be even stricter with the consequences for this stuff. So, again, it is what it is as far as I see it. I see both sides of it, but I think, like I was saying earlier, a lot of these mistakes are made from people that are looking for their 15 minutes of fame, or they're trying to get that extra click or two for their channel, versus understanding that the people that truly succeed in this industry, it doesn't matter if they're first to get something out. It matters with the type of content that they're putting out, if people are going to stick with you and support you. And that's all it really comes down to. So that's why I try to never worry about rushing to have my content out or whatever. I figure if people enjoy what I do, they're going to enjoy what I do, whether I'm first, second, or last to put it out. They'll find it if it's good.
Yeah, that leads directly into the next thing I was going to ask really quickly was like, how does one go about showing PR or just showing other people in general that you're not trying to be that person that wants the 15 minutes of fame, that you're trying to do good out here in these streets, you know, doing stuff with related to gaming or otherwise? Like, how does one go about expressing that even without saying that?
Consistency, and again, going back to plugging the documentary again, that's another thing the documentary was about, building relationships.
Yeah.
You know, it is that was the crazy thing about watching that and just looking over the years, how many relationships that we've built over those years and we maintain to this very day. You know, that if I could give any advice to any content creator getting into this industry now, is do not burn bridges, because like I said something before, you never know how that person you meet today could influence your career down the road. And it's amazing to see where people may have started off at back in 2007 or 2008 to where they are right now in 2018. And it's, people remember, if you're an a-hole to them back in 2008, they're going to remember it in 2018. But if you were kind to them, if you looked out for them, if you were willing to work with them and help them back in 2008, they're going to return that favor in 2018. And I think, and it's, to me, it's just common courtesy. It's common courtesy, decency, and respect to your fellow man is all it really comes down to. You know, I try to make sure that anyone that I interact with, like, you know, you and I, past couple of weeks, we're trying to set up this conversation to talk. Yeah. You know, of course, I'm going to respond to you, even if I can't make time for you right now, and let you know, hey, here's when I'm available. Here's what I can do, you know, because it's just common courtesy. I'm not going to, you send me a DM and I just ignore you because I'm busy right now.
That is real. That has happened to me so many times.
Of course it does. It happens. It happens to me too. I mean, but that's the point. I'm going to remember that you just ignored me now, but then, hey, maybe 2 years from now you need me. And now you're blowing me up trying to get in contact with me. I'm going to remember that time that you couldn't take 10 seconds out of your day to just say, hey, sorry, I'm busy. Maybe we can do it some other time, or whatever the case may be. It's that goes a long way. Definitely. And I think that's what people don't realize. It's okay to say no. It really is. I'm very fine with someone telling me no, but to not say anything at all, I find that a little bit disrespectful. And I'm sure most people, or to be rude about it. Same thing. Goes a long way.
Definitely. And I mean, all that is real. And again, in this show specifically, where I've tried to get other guests to come on the show, and I try to get a wide variety of guests from all over the place and stuff. I've had that happen to me like plenty of times. Like I probably lost count. Like, it's crazy. But you're totally right in the sense where that little courtesy, even just saying no, but being respectful about it, I feel like goes a very long way, but also leaves the door open. And you know, even if things don't pop off now, or if things don't kind of work out now, maybe down the line they will, or at least some point, be a little bit better than at the current moment. I feel like now, people on all sides, whether one's successful, whether one's just starting out, you know, trying to get their name out there, or just coming into something for the very first time, that applies to everybody. And I feel like a lot of people seem to forget about that because they get caught up on their own hype at some point, and that could be a real shame and a detriment to stuff that could be really good for people out there, not just in gaming, but in all facets, you know, of industry, content creation, etc. So I want to ask about this because people that listen to Gamertag Radio, there's a lot of fans out there that kind of associate you with being that quote unquote that guy. And what I mean by that guy is either Salty Parris, which is another nickname you've gotten. You're the person that is, if it kind of reminds me of a little bit of like wrestling color commentary, where it's like, okay, you got Vince McMahon that's bigging somebody up. He's like really kind of getting caught up on the own hype. And then all of a sudden Jerry the King Lawler is coming like, oh no, that guy's not all that great. I mean, look how messed up this is. Look what he's not paying attention to. Something kind of like that. But you're in that same way that you take that approach. You take that very critical eye to whatever topic of discussion is whenever you're on Gamertag Radio, along with Danny, with Pete, and everybody else who appears on the show. I think that is a pretty good thing. But for you, you know, being the person that actually gives those opinions, expresses his thoughts on stuff in that type of manner, why do you think that's important for everybody to listen to?
I think it's important because I'm just being honest. I mean, it's obviously just the running joke. Oh, you're just angry old man, salty old man. But if you really listen to what I'm saying, that's not what it is. I don't criticize something just to criticize it. Again, let's take Destiny 2 as an example. You know, we went to the review event. I mean, my passion and love for that game and community goes without question.
I saw it.
You saw it. I mean, even going back to the reveal event, back in May, just things like that. I mean, obviously my interaction with people at Bungie just over the years during this game's life cycle. I love the game. Absolutely love the game. But I have not been afraid to criticize this game post-launch because it's a broken game. It is not what it should have been. And obviously we see now, I mean, the entire community tends to feel that way. So much so you're actually seeing content creators walk away from the game.
Drop off,
because, from where it is, But that's, or Xbox. Let's take Xbox as an example. Going back in my history, I was an Xbox MVP from 2007 until 2011. I got a peek behind the curtain. I've been up to Redmond. I've seen Xbox Live, how it works, the whole thing. I know plenty of people up there. People, again, not burning bridges, friends to this day. But I was not afraid in 2013 to go, wait, time out. What are we doing here with Xbox One? This isn't right. I don't like what you're doing. And explaining why I didn't like what I was seeing. And see, that's the thing.
That's true.
If you're going to be critical of something, offer up a resolution to it. Not saying your resolution is going to be the right one, but don't just sit there. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. This sucks. This sucks. Well, why? Okay, that's why. Well, what do you think they should do to fix it? That's all. And that's really, of anything that I'm quote unquote critical of, is what I try to do. I try to just be honest about what I'm seeing and offer an alternative to it. And I think most people will actually respect that and they encourage that. Again, not with naming any names, but there are people at Microsoft that absolutely respect that I'm critical of what they've done with Xbox One early on. And if you've heard me in probably the last year and a half, I've actually been praising them a lot because I'm loving the direction that Microsoft is going now. They're doing it the right way. Are they going to catch Sony in this generation? Nope, they're not. But they're laying that foundation for the next time we hit the reset button, they can actually compete with whatever the PlayStation 5 is going to be. I mean, that is really all that an Xbox One X is. It's laying a foundation for the direction they're going to take their hardware in the future. Game Pass, which in my opinion is the actual future
That's a big deal.
Of digital gaming, is big for them. It's going to force Nintendo and Sony to do something similar. I guarantee it. I love where they're going with that. But the whole point I'm trying to make of this is these things don't happen unless you're critical of them. And it's respectful criticism. And I think that's the key thing people need to understand. You can criticize something, but be respectful to the people that you're talking to.
I agree.
And that goes a long way. It's like, when we got a chance to talk to Phil Spencer back in 2014, I think it was, at E3, we interviewed him, Danny and I told him to his face, I don't like Kinect, but I said, here's why I don't like Kinect. And they understood that. He understood it, respected that. And look where they are now. Kinect is DOA. It's gone. It's not even a thing anymore. So it wasn't like hey, Phil Spencer, your camera sucks and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I don't like your camera. And here's why. Because in my household, if it doesn't work 99.9% of the time, my wife is going to look at me and go, what the hell is this? Get it out of my living room. This doesn't work. And that's just the truth. And he understood that and respected it. But just like I said, just going back to my point, overall, that's how I think, being, like you said, that guy, that salty guy, that's just my approach. If something deserves praise, I'm going to praise it. If something deserves criticism, I'm going to criticize it. But in both instances, I'm going to explain why I either love or don't like what I'm talking about. And that's just my approach to life in general.
I agree. I think that's important too, because I think we suffer, not just in gaming, but just with social media and just, the internet as a whole. We tend to or a lot of people tend to kind of misconstrue that or misunderstand that as hating, or they immediately dismiss that as hating because, again, the internet could have so many people throwing an opinion or having a thought out there all over the place. And I think you're right where having criticism that's constructive that does offer a solution or some sort of thought towards a solution is much better than what we usually get as the common thing, is what everybody says, like, oh, Xbox sucks, or Xbox has no games, or Xbox doing this and that wrong, etc. That's when you get into the fanboy mentality, or at least, people start to think and talk about the fanboy mentality, because there's that lack of that offering of a solution, or a lack of offering up an alternative or some other thought that could lead to a solution. And I think that's important, especially for podcasting, where you have conflicting opinions and you have conflicting perspectives, but everybody has their own thoughts, but also has something that the other side can maybe empathize with in some sort of way. Like, do you ever find yourself when you're on different episodes of GTR where things will get like to that point where sometimes maybe the discussion maybe goes a little bit too far, or you guys have great discussions where there's things to look at on both sides that you could come to a meeting of the minds?
I think that's every episode.
Every day, yeah.
I mean, but that's part of what makes what we do great is we don't all agree, and nor should we. And I think that's what makes for a great conversation is we don't agree. Like, I'll give you the prime example. I wasn't on Wednesday's podcast, and but there again, it was live on Twitch, and I'm driving home, so I tuned in on the drive home, and on Twitch. And I'm listening to what they're talking about, and I'm literally screaming at my phone. So much so that I was like, in the after show, I was like, dial me in. I have to say something. So they dialed me in, and I disagreed with everything that Danny was saying. We had a conversation about it. We laughed about it, the whole thing. So much so, Danny realized this actually needs to be the part of the audio podcast. So he cut out that audio from the Twitch stream of the after show, and he put that conversation into the audio podcast. And I think that's great because it gives people that are listening to it or watching to it a different perspective on the conversation. And there's no right or wrong answer. And that's what I think people need to understand. I'm not coming on there saying, Danny, you're an idiot. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm saying, no, I disagree with you. And we have a conversation about it, and let the listener or the viewer make up their mind on who they want to agree with.
Definitely.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I think that's important. And again, not only does that make GTR a very good gaming podcast, or just a good podcast in general, but that's the making of great discussions. And I feel like that could lead to even better change, not just for the gaming industry, but just, all our stuff in general. Because I feel like there's a lack of that now. Like there's people that are doing it, like you guys over at GTR and a few other places, but we need more of that. And I feel like, one of the biggest places that needs more of that is YouTube. Or at least content creation, because there's a lot of different people putting their opinion out there, but there's less people having discussions. Did you ever feel like that, again, in your interactions, maybe with some YouTubers or just people that are outside the podcasting or the traditional media type of stuff?
I mean, I guess I would say that the YouTubers or the content creators that I typically try to associate myself with, I've not had that problem. So I can't say directly no. I mean, have I seen some of that stuff from afar? Yeah, probably. But I try to associate myself with not necessarily like-minded people, but people that want to grind. Yeah. People that have a strong work ethic, that try to see both sides of a discussion versus just it's my way or the highway, and if you don't agree with me, then you're an idiot. I just try to not associate with those type of people.
I agree. I'm the same way like that, because I feel like that those are the people that don't want to have the discussion. We get a little bit too much of that now these days, especially over the last few years and stuff. But as we start to wind this conversation down, let me ask the question that we have all the time whenever we have somebody on the show and stuff. What is one thing that you feel like you could tell everybody or give to everybody that's listening to this now that you think that will do a lot of good, that will probably give them some good food for thought? What is one thing you want to give to the listeners?
Good question. I would say be yourself. Be yourself. If you're going to get into content creation, do what you enjoy first before worrying about what your audience is telling you you need to do. Because if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it? I think that's what it really comes down to. If there's a game or a subject or something that you're passionate about that you want to stream or you want to discuss on a podcast or create a video over, go for it. Do it. There will be an audience that will appreciate and support that. Don't force feed yourself. Let's take this as an example. again, I love Destiny, right? I just do. It may be having its problems right now, but I love the game. If I want to play the game, but yet people want to come onto my stream and yell at me for playing the game, I'm not going to go play what they tell me to play, because that's what's going to, quote unquote, get me viewers or build my brand or my audience. I'm going to play the things that I'm passionate about, because I'm a strong believer, be it via on a stream or on an audio podcast. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, the audience will sniff that out immediately. So you have to actually enjoy what you're doing, or it's going to fail. You can't just do something because you think it will get you a bunch of clicks or subscribers and support you financially. If you do the things that you love, it will find you, is what I'm trying to say. And then it may not happen overnight, but you got to stick with it. You just have to. But at the end of the day, when you're pulling that sheet right up over your chest and laying your head on that pillow, you want to do it with a smile on your face and not out of frustration that, God, what am I doing? God, I don't want to stream tomorrow. I hate this game, but I got to play it because that's what my audience wants. If you're to that point, you might want to take a step back and reevaluate.
I agree. I've been there in that point. I used to do a lot of poker tournament stuff, and I used to feel like that until I stopped, and then I got things a little bit better. So that's some real talk right there. But Parris, thank you for being on the show. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure chatting it up with you and stuff. Now, where can everybody find you right now on social media? You're on Twitter. Are you on any other places? Where can everybody find you at?
I quit Facebook, so you won't find me on Facebook. But yeah, I'm annoyed with Facebook. But yeah, I'm on Twitter at Vicious696, and you can find us Gamertagradio.com, and you can find us over at radio.com. So that's where I am.
Nice. That's where everybody can listen to all the episodes of GTR currently right now. New episodes it's new episodes every single week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 2 times a week.
2 times a week. There you go, guys. So definitely check it out. There'll be links in the description box below for everybody to check out all that stuff. But again, Parris, thank you very, very much for coming onto the show. This is fun. I think this is dope. Is there any other events you're going to anytime soon? Are you going to PAX? Are you going to E3, etc.?
I'm going to be at Podfest next week.
Oh, yeah,
next Friday, we're doing a live podcast there in Orlando, so that should be a lot of fun with Danny and Pete. And then I got some secrets after that I can't talk about. So yeah, there's a couple other things we'll be attending, but I can't talk about them just yet. I don't know if I'm going to go this year because it's so last minute, but I'm angling to go to GDC. Because I've never gone, and I'm kind of thinking I should have that experience of attending. So maybe this year, definitely next year, and then obviously E3 and all that other stuff. 100% I'll be going to throughout the year.
That'd be awesome. Are you nervous? The first live podcast show, because God forbid you say something, then you cause a riot in the
No, I mean honestly, I've not even given it a second thought, because I almost feel like we do it live now on Twitch. To me, it's just really the same. And I mean, talking. I mean, for my real job, I have to talk in front of people all day, every day anyway. So for me, it's nothing new.
So you got this.
Yeah.
You got this.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Awesome. But thank you, Parris, for being on the show. Definitely. Hopefully you guys got some good stuff out of this entire discussion. Let me know what's up in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like on this video. Make sure that you check out the podcast over on iTunes, okay? Keep sending me suggestions of different people that you guys want me to get onto the show. I'm trying to get a wide variety of individuals that I could feature here on TK Spotlight, and I'm always open to different suggestions. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the Koalition's YouTube channel as well, and pass around this episode all over social media. Hopefully you enjoyed this, but we will talk to you again very soon. Peace out, and stay epic, everybody.